When to use a Sqaurebill crankbait. Guys, if you know me, been around forever. I cut my teeth doing how-tos. I'm the YouTube originator of how-tos. Nobody is ever actually talking about when. It's how-to, and then when kind of comes into the how-to video. But there should be more emphasis on when to. Everybody thinks there's a magic lure. In the reality, it's not. Lures are tools strictly for the application purposes for that time of year, that scenario, that watercolor, that water temperature, okay, or that time of year. This happens to be a 1.5 ATV Bill Lewis Sqaurebill. This is the 2.5 STIX reaction stick, 7'6", moderate taper, medium heavy power, medium power rod, moderate fast taper on the STIX hybrid stick. That's the smaller one, and the bigger one, you can throw a 1.0 on this. Plug in my rods there, shameless plug. I own sticksfishing.com, so check it out if you haven't yet. When do you throw a Sqaurebill? The reality is, for me, I throw a Sqaurebill early in the spring and also typically wintertime. So when I say wintertime, you're gonna understand that a lot of the time, I live in Northern California here, we have some lakes that are rocky, some lakes that are grassy. Now, wintertime, the grass isn't all dead yet, so something like a vibrating jig can outperform a Sqaurebill, all right? So Sqaurebill's very application purpose and time of year purpose. I would say it's harder to catch a big bass on any other lure than a Sqaurebill, probably early spring all through the spawn. And what I say by that is the Sqaurebill probably outfishes everything. Probably the full month and a half before the spawn happens and during the spawn. The reason why is it moves around erratically like a crawfish, and it has a flat front designed for deflecting, and it's moving around hard. It's triggering strikes. It looks like a crawdad on the flea. All right, it's running from something. It's being chased. It's fleeing out of there. It's shooting backwards, causing commotion. It's also fantastic at scoring reaction strikes. So not only does it look like a crawdad, it's very erratic scoring reaction strikes, all right? Now, another thing, they gorge in the spring on crawfish. Now, that being said, if I go up to a shoreline and I see grass in the early spring, a bunch of little tiny light twigs, am I gonna throw a Sqaurebill? Probably not. I would probably throw a vibrating jig at that point. But if I go up and I see hard timber, thicker timber, wood, rocks that I can deflect a Sqaurebill off, that is when I am going to throw it. Very clear water, Sqaurebill does not work well at all. Water that you can't see beyond 3 foot deep all the way to 6 inches of visibility, a Sqaurebill is a fantastic choice to catch bass. Don't be afraid to pigeonhole a Sqaurebill, guys. I throw the Bill Lewis Echo a lot in the middle of the summertime, around the top of grass. Sometimes I'll fish a Sqaurebill on the outside of grass lines. There's just sometimes better tools for that job, but they often get keyed in. And when I say a big bass catcher, I have 2 double-digit bass on Sqaurebills. In that same time of year, I've thrown A-rigs, I've thrown big swim baits. Big swim baits catch some big double-digit fish, but you don't catch the numbers. I can go out and catch 30 to 50 fish on this Sqaurebill and still bag an 8 or a 10 or a 9 out on the Delta, or pretty much any lake I go to around here. The Sqaurebill is going to catch those bigger ones in the wintertime and in the spring, and sometimes in the later fall when a lot of people are still throwing bait fish patterns. There is a late season crawfish spawn that'll trigger them again. Yes, you see they're both red right here. Early spring, red's a great color. That's not what this video is about. This is about when I will throw that Sqaurebill. And I'm gonna give you another little secret. If I'm on a good vibrating jig bite and it seems to be getting a little bit tougher to where they're not eating it well, I will fish a Sqaurebill around that same stuff. If I was ripping it through the grass, I'm gonna look for a little deeper grass line on the outer edge and reel a Sqaurebill down that same spot to try to trigger different fish. It's a great 1-2 combo, Sqaurebill vibrating jig. If you haven't tried that, so give it a whirl, guys. I'm Nick, the Informative Fisherman, and that's when I fish a Sqaurebill crankbait.